Yo, my brother's Razor Snake Eyes be in the building.
Yes, sir.
Unwelcome your doors off.
Ooh-wee.
Square pit. We here, y'all.
We back, niggas.
By the time this come out, y'all gonna be checking out our last one, man. We just dropped the NXT review. So you know what I'm saying? Check that out, man. Yo, who killed W episode 2? Razor.
Mm-mm.
I know you say you like
Ooh.
this episode better today, man. You wanna
Yeah.
you wanna go from the beginning? Like you wanna go through when the beginning of the episode, you wanna just talk on the key points that boosted yours for the night.
I mean, it all kind of ties in the same thing. Last week's just a little quick flashback was essentially the ups and downs, the rise and fall of the NWO. Today's installment was more along the lines of the history of ATM Eric, Easy E, Eric Bischoff. So
Mhm.
again, we've always wondered like how deep into the fold they're gonna go, how much are they gonna actually dig up, give us that we don't already know. And again, there was a couple points in there that I had a feeling or was something I suspected, but there's a lot that they kind of revealed to the masses.
And what stood out to you the most right there?
Um, Definitely the again. I've always often speculated the stuff between Brett and Goldberg per se, as far as leading up into that match, and I'll stand by this till the cows come home. I think that if Bret Hart went in there with a different state of mind, things would have happened differently. If Eric Bischoff didn't have the bullshit he was dealing with at the same time, ironically, things would have been completely different. What happened in that match was just a powder keg that was doomed from the start.
Yeah, the whole watch the kick. What kick? That shit was crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Bret Hart's a seasoned veteran, and I'm surprised that he didn't go and watch some of Goldberg's other matches to know what kick he was talking about. You know what I mean? And like Goldberg said, protect himself. I doubt that. Like I could see a place where Goldberg is dominant, right? Like he's doing some of these moves with force. He's not, as they stated in the episode, he wasn't trained properly. They just kind of threw him in there, right? Like, and you learn as you go. So if you're gonna be mad at anybody, you got to be mad at the people that put him in that position. One,
Mm-hmm.
and then two, you got to accept the fact that it wasn't done with malicious intent. When again, you're putting somebody out there that they're just told, "Yo, go look dominant, go squash this person, XYZ, do the job." You know what I'm saying? The guy's doing his job. He told you watch the kick.
Oh yeah, but you can also argue how often did Goldberg attempt a super kick? I don't
Right.
think that was a regular move that he did on the fly, unless it was certain shit.
But again, I feel like in that time too, like Goldberg was just doing shit, right? Like he just again was learning a bunch of shit. So most of his moves, like we didn't see some of that shit in WWE because granted he might have been older, but even in that run when in the early 2000s, his style was different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What he was doing in WCW. In WCW, he was kind of giving free reign to just try shit. I mean, you even go to Diamond Dallas Page. He was finishing the match with a creative diamond cutter almost every time, finding new ways to just do shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I think you kind of got to charge it to the game. You got to charge it to the game where it wasn't just Goldberg doing shit. Everybody was doing shit. Some people just happen to be safer and not get hurt.
Unfortunately, this isn't ballet like many of the AEW loyals like to play every time Darby Allin or Daniel Bryan gets hurt.
Hmm. Nah, and especially in the '90s too. Like we had kayfabe, right? So it's like some things you wanted to make it look more real and dominant, and just like that's exactly what he was doing. He was an undefeated guy. Like we see the wrestlers trained to be more safe, but I feel like yeah, at that time that training to be safe wasn't like it was a thing, but like you heard Bret Hart say it, well, he thought I was just another jobber. So that is how guys treated jobbers. They went in there and beat the shit out of them to get over. You know what I'm saying? To get over.
And also, like what they would talk about back in the day, like with the chair shots, for example, if you put your hands up, they're gonna think you're a punk.
Yeah, like you kind of got to absorb that pain. It was like a chop bat, even to this day, right? They talk about how, oh, we're gonna see who gives in. They just have a chop battle, and like you said, that first flinch. Oh yeah, I got you.
Yo ass is mine.
Yeah, that first flinch, I got you. So this test, and it again, people may agree with it, people may not, but you got to charge it to the game. That's been professional wrestling for years, right or not. That's the world they live in. You know what I mean? So you're gonna have them two sides of the coins right there. Bret Hart salty and Goldberg, like, man, I did what I had to do, and I was on top.
Yeah, but also as far as them getting a little snug with each other, you can also attest it to like back in them days where some of them are starting riots. They want to know, push comes to shove, who's actually going to have their back when someone's trying to swing a knife at them.
Mm-hmm. Nah, and like Goldberg is definitely at what they say he used to do MMA too, right? Or like he used to train and do stuff like so.
Yeah, he did a little bit of I think Taekwondo or something like that, but while he was in college.
Yeah, and I feel like again that was him doing shit, right? Like that kick is more like him trying to show his athleticism, like, oh yeah, I could do like it didn't pan well, it didn't turn out right. Now, how'd you
Yeah.
feel about the other spot with the Scott Hall situation?
We talked about the part with Scott Hall with them exploiting his demons, like if he's still with the Road Warrior Hawk.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I mean, again, that part's been documented forever, and even they knew that was kind of overboard. At the end of the day, if a man's got problems, help him. Don't try to make a buck off of it, because unfortunately, look what we got after that. But the man is no longer with us when he likely should be.
I think go ahead.
But also in Scott's case, like if you need help, just ask for it.
You know, for me, the most like I don't want to say it was just like this happened in the early 90s, so I forgot the time period, and they kind of laying out dates and years for us here, right? So I kind of forget that, like, even though this is towards the end of the episode, I don't want to skip too far ahead, but like for me, what I said that stood out that Eric Bischoff was going through a lot of heat. That investigation that they say he went under for allegedly just paying wrestlers millions of dollars, and
Just to
he's
get a
getting
kickback.
yeah, just to get a kickback. I personally never heard that story, so I was like, whoa, like damn,
Well,
like
I mean, I had heard rumors of that because again, Flair has talked about that quite a bit. A lot of folks like that were at the undercard, like Ravens mentioned a couple times, maybe a Perry Saturn may have touched on it, a Sabu may have mentioned it. Just everyone that wasn't Hogan and Hogan's friends. That was the rumor. That's why they called him ATM Eric and all the other bullshit. But it's like also, he was kind of right. You're on prime time television. Like there's not much real shit that's better than what he was getting.
I mean, you're getting everything you want, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you just said it, primetime television, the big numbers, 7 figures. I think at that time point, almost anybody you got creative control. You had like not a whole creative control, but let's say you got enough creative control to go out to the ring and say what you want.
You are essentially the second in command to Ted Turner.
Man.
Essentially, let's be honest. He was what present day Tony Khan.
Yep.
What is the difference between the two, aside from the network deal?
One is related and one is not. One is spending his father's money. The other one was spending the network's money.
Well, I mean, again, he had a budget. I'm sure he was going off of that, but you can also argue is that Bischoff was trying to think of a plan that was not going to be just a flash in the pan. This is going to be self-sufficient. This is going to work. This is going to ultimately beat Vince. And it did. Tony Khan, his whole MO was, I got more money than Ted Turner. I know more than what Jim Herd knew. I know more than what Vert Gagne knew. I'm not going to fail. Well, what's your plan? I'm not going to fail. We have the best wrestling. What's your fucking plan? He has no plan.
Now that's a good transition too, though, because like you said, WCW they got they gathered the steam to win the ratings for a few, and then things changed. The partnership, or just Turner and AOL developing, becoming what it was. From what Eric Bischoff said, they wanted it to become a more family friendly program, and then WWF just continued to get more edgier.
Yep.
And it's crazy that they even say that, because what has WWE been the last 10 years? PG. So it's kind of like WCW were ahead of their time, but I guess being ahead of your time necessarily isn't always the best thing. It's not always the best case.
Again, it comes back to everyone's favorite phrase. How do we get there?
And like you just said, no fucking plan.
You can't just jump to sex, drugs, and rock and roll to here, buy my toy. Oh, here, buy my cereal overnight.
No, that's
especially when you got dudes like Buff Bagwell, Scott Steiner, Scott Hall pouring beer down a set of tits and just chugging the beer off of that.
Then WCW in this episode, they continue to prove that their booking didn't prove to be any better. Their antics continued to be a reason why they was losing the war. The finger poke of doom. Given the information that Mick Foley was going to win the championship all in one night. Again, this is like I said, remember when I said I get lost in the timeline? I'm glad that this episode reminded me that those two things happened in the same night.
Yeah, because I thought the finger poke was a lot later.
Yeah, like I thought they were like separate in time. To fucking know that they were done on the same night. What the fuck?
And again, that was the downhill spiral. That in equivalence to that, you can pair that to Cody leaving AEW. They've never really recovered from that.
January 4th, 1999. Man, that's how you start the fucking year off?
Mm-hmm.
Shit in the better way. And that was just a pure desperation move, too. That's what's sad.
That's one of those, and nothing's going to go wrong. Oh, it did. You made Mick Foley a star that night.
Yeah, because then if the clip is true, right? Like, let's say how they did a perfect imagery of showing somebody changing the channel, going right to WWF television, right? Like, I don't know if you caught that, but they transitioned. Oh, yeah, they're going to win. And they show that. Then you see Stone Cold whipping on the Rock and helping Mick Foley. That was way better than the fucking what they were showing on WCW. That's what was even crazier. Like, oh, you really just shot yourself in the foot bad right here. Bad. Like, and then the way Mick Foley showed it, I remember that was like a moment like, oh, one of the baby faces won his moment. He deserved it. Everybody comes out, Triple H put him on the shoulders. Like,
that was the first and I believe the only time he was world heavyweight champion.
Man.
That was it. And again, he's in a marquee segment amongst Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock.
That was just, yeah, like, again, WCW did themselves no favors right there. All the stuff surrounding Eric Bischoff
didn't help.
They were just in a sliding shitstorm right there. I like with it, like the last, I'm gonna be honest, I enjoyed the whole episode, but the last 10 minutes of this episode got me really excited for episode 3.
Oh, because of the little teaser we got of what's to come next week?
Yeah.
Everybody's favorite punching bag. A
Yup.
man who was once revered as the brains behind the Attitude Era, the brains behind the WWF. Now under the payroll of WCW, Vince Russo himself, Jim Cornette's best friend of all time.
Man. And it just looks like, you know why I'm excited to see that personally? Because I feel that's a time period like they were alluding to. That's when a lot of shoot shit started happening. Like you see a lot of off the rail shit. You seen Hogan at the end of the clip, you know, going off script right there and saying that's why this company's going to shits and all of this. So I want to see more about that because now that they seem to be eliminating Eric Bischoff from the picture, right? Like, okay, he's not in the picture no more, but in terms of running the joint, so WCW still around. Eric, we all know that Eric didn't kill WCW. I feel like me and you know the answers. We both like said it on episode 1 with like Ted Turner, the network execs. They didn't give a shit about the
Well,
promotion.
we've always thought that, but it's like again, we knew there was other proponents. Ultimately, we can all say all of them played a role into the demise of the promotion, but the stuff with Vince Russo is both the stuff of legend and nightmare. Everyone bashes on everything that he's ever done. Everything he's supposedly what everyone swears to God that he's what WWE went wrong.
He was responsible for David Arquette winning the championship.
Mm-hmm. Which we
Now,
could
I didn't
see
as
him.
a kid, I didn't see nothing wrong with that. Like, I enjoyed that little movie that he was in, that whole Ready to Rumble, whatever that shit was called.
Yeah.
As a kid, as an adult, I don't know how I would have digested that. I'm gonna be honest. But as a kid, I felt like there was nothing wrong with that. Again, ahead of their time. We see this now where WWE is bringing in Logan Paul, even though Logan Paul is night and day over Arquette at that time. Like Arquette at least now gives us effort in his indie run, right? Like, but at that time, it was just laughable. It was just like, all right, we got this dude coming off of Hollywood, just winning the world championship. So I could see in
Yeah.
retrospect why that shit like that wasn't well received.
Well, and also if you recall like what Nash was talking about, when you have Val Venus in a segment with Jenna Jameson, when you have Mike Tyson show up, how do we respond? We gave somebody an NWO shirt.
Yeah, just add a new member. Just like keep it like yeah, you gotta evolution. You gotta keep going like make adjustments, something like WCW didn't know how to counter. They didn't know how to counter
Well,
program at that point.
I think that they knew how. It's just they were pigeonholed by what they only knew that worked. Whereas once those standard process came into effect, they had no clue how to adjust because they'd been given so much freedom for so long. So they kind of most of them probably felt like they were insulted by that.
Yeah, so there's no real like now you're trying to structure a bunch of talent that there's been no structure with. Yeah, it's just too many components that didn't blend in well. And again, at this time, like you said, people don't know AJ Styles was in WCW.
Christopher Dance, WCW.
You could have been focusing on younger talent, which they've put spotlight on younger guys, put them out there. But again, it felt like more like the same old story. You see the same old guys on top, sprinkled on both shows.
Oh, and also there was another now WWE legend that was in WCW, even training at the power plant up until the closing days. That
Bring
is
us to
John Cena.
John Cena. Okay.
John Cena, what he was getting to get started, he started at the power plant.
Mm.
So imagine a world where WWE is still around and WWE never gets John Cena. What could have been of that world?
Mm. That would have been
Yeah,
crazy.
it would have been something. Think about it. I mean, also that could have also been we never get TNA.
I'm gonna be honest. Their last match, their last show, WCW show too. It was unfortunate that it felt like had that last show, that energy that they put into that last show, if that's what they gave without the circumstance of them going out of business, I think the product would have been better. Like that match with Flair, Sting was incredible.
Well, but also at the same time, it's like from what we learned in this episode, if none of us didn't already know it, the network was gonna give them every chance and every way to fail, and they were gonna make sure they failed, crashing and burning.
Yep.
All because they wanted that little time slot. And then ultimately Ted Turner just gets again. I thought he got bored of WCW. Apparently that they kind of kicked his ass to the curb too.
I mean, but all right, so let's play devil's advocate, right? Like you a billionaire, you don't even really give a shit about this little side venture, and you know, it's just there, it's lingering. And then you got, you know what I'm saying? So from his point, it's like I could see why, like you said, the networks didn't care. He didn't care. He's not giving them no incentive to care. He's the big bank in the room. I'm pretty sure he put some care on it. Everybody's gonna care now.
Yeah.
So it starts at the top. You know what I'm saying? Just like unfortunately, Vince didn't own a network, and I think that was one of his dreams too, right? To like own a network or something, and then he went the WWE network route, which wasn't bad at all too, because to me that was ahead of his time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like Vince did it a different way. He cared about the product. He'd been around the business, so it worked for WWE, WWF at the time. And WCW had people that cared, but they could, like you said, they couldn't do nothing about it. So it was just a matter of time, unfortunately.
Yep.
The one thing I'm glad that they sold to WWE so that like they could like that WWF had the immediate rights to use everything WCW, like pay-per-view titles, you know what I'm saying? Everything, the
Yeah.
trademarks. So that was definitely, I'm glad they sold to WWE rather than somewhere else.
I mean, but at the same time, it's like knowing what we got with that with the invasion, knowing what we got with ECW 2.0, you're kind of better off not owning it at all.
Yeah, it was kind of a wash. Like there was things happening that shouldn't have happened. Austin aligning himself with the you know what I'm saying, the invasion angle with the alliance and stuff like that.
Because you can argue the fact that, say, when Jeff Jarrett finally gets TNA up and running or whatever, and no one owned anything related to WCW, he could have swooped up on that. Or if Paul Heyman still had all the rights to ECW, that could have been a little side project leading into what we ended up getting with MLW not long after TNA had started. So it was a lot that could have happened had Vince not bought those libraries and rights.
Right. And like more like what we see now though, where AEW purchased ROH, and like you said, ROH feels so devalued now more than ever. I think that would have, it could have possibly happened with WCW had it landed in the wrong hands. Now it was already going downhill, but I think it would have just went even more downhill, and WWE would have not had no hands on it at all.
And the thing with Ring of Honor is I still feel that again, once they kind of got slaughtered, dropped from the roster from AEW, they were making grounds they were getting back on their feet, and it was working. And the pandemic definitely didn't help. And then they started doing shows again. They were regaining the ground, but I felt like with the pandemic alone, in the early stages, it was already too big of a loss for Kerry Silver because he was still paying everybody, even though they weren't. Even though they weren't doing any shows there because of the lockdown, he was still honoring their contracts. He was making sure every last one of them was still getting paid.
He should have became a silent investor for them. You know what I'm saying?
But again, instead he just sells everything to Tony Khan.
Yeah, because they're not a publicly traded company, both of them. So I don't think that they have to make it public knowledge that he's helping funding ROH. Let them run what they're doing, and he still sees whatever profit. But the thing is with Tony Khan is and I feel like it's all him.
In his mind, he is the savior of professional wrestling. WWE, Vince McMahon, they're the Harvey Weinstein, they're the evil empire. And again, it's like,
and I feel
no
like
one ever had this energy up until he came in the fold.
I just feel like he want to model himself off of the 90s wrestling, Tony Khan, that is. Like, and we're seeing, like, we watched this documentary. Again, if Warner Brothers doesn't want to invest into, we haven't heard no word if they're going to be staying on TNT, TBS. What's going to happen with them?
Within the next 4 to 6 weeks, we are going to know something. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, like time is ticking for them too.
Because somewhere in July, I didn't catch the exact date, is when their negotiation period ends, supposedly, or everyone's been referencing July. So we will know something then. If Tony's smart, he'll just take whatever money that they give him and whatever time slot he's allotted. Like, he's not going to get a Vince McMahon deal. He's not going to get an NBA deal. You just take what you can get.
I mean, even like, just to continue to compare this to WCW and Who Killed WCW, like, I feel like when I look at Eric Bischoff and I look at Tony Khan, I feel like Tony Khan operates where he feels like money can solve his issues, as to where Eric Bischoff, he was kind of, yes, he had money to work with, but I get the vibe that it was more like scrapping and scraping just to get to the top kind of vibe. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was doing what he felt was needed to win. And I don't see that kind of effort from that like effort to, oh yeah, no, it's just what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense, what I'm trying to say.
In the last 40 to 50 years, he's the only man that put Vince in his place for almost a year and a half. For a year and a half, he was number one on TV. No one else has come close to that. No one else has even sniffed that. Tony Khan thought he could do that overnight. Hulk Hogan tried it with TNA for 1 week, and after that 1 week, he said, no, we're not going to do this. Again, the machine is the machine for valid reasons. Just leave it at that. Stay in your own lane. Do your own shit. The audience will come to you guys organically. When you guys started 5 years ago, everyone had all this faith that you guys were just going to do your own thing, have a whole, like they said, an alternative. All it turned into was, guess what? We're not WWE, but we're going to do all the shit that we ridiculed WWE for a few years ago. We're going to do all the shit that didn't work in WCW, all the shit that didn't work in TNA. But because you guys are AEW and because you're brand new to the game, you should be given a grace period. But we're also to allow these nonstop shots towards the brand. And yet when they clap back at you in a more clever way, where they're not referencing you by name, you want to bitch and moan to the internet. Make it make sense.
I honestly feel too, like, there's a lot of things that AEW do to me, or like Tony Khan, like the way that he just, I don't know how the contracts are worth. I don't know what they were, but it looked like he just spends willingly. And we've been asking this question for a while. Like, when does the spending stop? Now we know
So
some people walked away.
certain talent that has since been released have released like physical copies of the contract that they signed and all that. There were certain wrestlers that claimed that they didn't have enough money to put food on their own table to feed their wife and kids.
Mm.
So again, like, what are these numbers? We're not saying you're not paying absorbent amounts of money to certain guys, but you treating everybody the same or what? Because everyone got bills, everyone has families. You can't just sign somebody and then not work them for 2+ years, but you can say you legally own them. That's not how you run business. Oh, and on top of that, just recently their COO was berating a collision show that they did in Idaho, stating that the performance and the attendance was subpar. I'm sorry this city doesn't give a fuck about who the hell you are. Maybe if you put on a better product, they may show up.
You definitely got to put on a better product. Not gonna lie to you, what I seen from Ethan Page, Sean Spears, even Lexus King, alongside Cody on NXT backstage, that camera looks better than anything I've ever seen AEW use backstage. I don't know if I'm over here stretching. That little backstage segment with Swerve and Prince Nana, that was probably the best thing. Outside of that,
Now that they have been experimenting with different camera shots and all that stuff, but the problem is, I feel that too many of their folks are miscast. For example, I'm actually a fan of what Nick Jackson's doing as an EVP. I just wish it was more him by himself, not with Matt Jackson, because he's kind of ruining what his brother's doing. Much like I felt that the EVP versus AEW story could have been better suited for Samoa Joe versus Jack Perry, because Jack Perry or Joe could have been told he's denied his rematch, then beats up the boss, sides with the EVPs, similar to what Main Event Mafia did in TNA.
you know what makes, for me, you know what makes the elite like believable and not in a good way. It's the fact that, like, when you look at the NWO, you had these three big dudes: Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Hulk Hogan. They could all be single superstars on their own. Be heavyweight champions on their own. Now, Scott Hall never was heavyweight champion, but that was unfortunate. But all in all, I don't look at the elite like they're dominant to just be like, oh yeah, the elite is just running things around here. Like, I don't believe it. And I get it, yeah, they did EVPs, but so you telling me that, like you said, this dudes, like, all right, to make it believable, you got to have Samoa Joe on their side.
Instead, you had Jack Perry because of the CM Punk stuff. Well, guess what? CM Punk ain't there anymore, so that don't mean fuck all anymore.
And then the fact that he get lit on fire in the match, still continues throughout the match to get the pinfall, is insane.
Yeah, like no stretcher, no nothing.
And then I'm gonna be honest, I feel like I don't even know what they're doing now. Like outside of MJF or Swerve, it's kind of like,
so right now, MJF is going to go into a program with Roosh. I don't know why. I'm sure the match will be fine, or the promos have been fine. They've been great, but the match is concerning because Roosh is a very physical motherfucker.
yeah.
Like, he's hands down probably one of the stiffest guys they got, aside from Samoa Joe. Like, and Roosh don't give a fuck. If you can't hang, tough shit. Let your nuts hang next time. So that's going to be a very interesting match. And you want to feed that to Max right out the gates? Fuck.
Yeah, it was kind of weird to see that. Even I'm gonna be honest too. Like, I understand they trying to get Roosh to talk more and stuff, but like, MJF, if that was his real rebuttal, like, oh, I can't hear you, like he flamed him, like, yeah, it's kind of like it was tough to listen to Roosh cut that promo, like, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, I mean, this is where you could use a manager right there for him. I understand you want to have him talk and
Wait, you fired all the Spanish speaking managers.
got rid of the assistant, right?
Yep, you got rid of him, got rid of Dasha. I think Abrahantes, I think he's doing commentary. But yeah, you had plenty of valets. If you're lucky and if you beg him, you might be able to get Chavo Guerrero. Maybe Vicky, but then again, like, just get you have Vicky Guerrero there and she does nothing.
Cause with Roosh, it's like you said, he's stiff and he tried to translate that on his mic work, and to me it wasn't bad. It didn't sound well. You know what I'm saying?
And that's just because, again, his English isn't the greatest. Nothing against him. It's just one of
Yeah.
those things. To make it a little bit better, just find an English speaker. It's
Yeah,
not the end of the world.
Right. And so he get in that bag where he comfortable talking like Andrade and shit. Or you know what I mean? Then yeah, let him talk. Felt they kind of rushed that part for him. I would like to see how they again MJF. I hope he don't get hurt in that. Like that'd be unfortunate. At that point, I've been saying this though for maybe a while. That like I don't like how like if I'm playing a video game, you know, if you ever play WWE 2K, you in the manager mode and shit, and you booking these guys in matches
You
week
see
after week.
the fatigue level go up little by little.
Yeah, and then they eventually get injured. Like
it feels like a Max Cam bag. He's still not that yellow orange level. That could jump to red, could jump to back being injured. We don't know.
Yes. It definitely give me vibes of that for real. Cause like you said, sometimes all right, this guy got hurt. He's coming back in like less than 2 months' time. How?
Look at Danielson.
Yo, he breaks his forearm. He's back like next week. And then like
Okada broke his face and he was back 3 weeks later.
Crazy. I don't understand it.
And also, I guess you see the noise with Dax and Disco Inferno going at it on Twitter?
Nah.
So I guess Dax put out a very long statement discussing that. I don't know if he's taking some time off or he recently took some time off or whatever. Basically, because he's got these giant bruises on half his body from the Anarchy in the Arena match. And Disco kind of took a couple of shots stating, you just killed all your boss's shtick about you guys being the safest promotion in the world. So they went back and forth for a minute, and Dax trying to justify it, saying, hey, look, it's not their fault that I didn't tell them I was fucked up. Dax, we've known you've been fucked up for the last 3 years. It's like, again, over there with you guys in AEW, it's very obvious, unfortunately. And with them being supposed licensed physicians, they should be able to tell the signs right away as well. Especially if they've been in a wrestling locker room or any kind of sports locker room. You know when an athlete is banged up and you know when they're hiding it. Or at least you should.
I mean, then to me, it's just I always felt a way about like, all right, it's part of wrestling, but when these wrestlers have real life documented injuries, why are we putting them in spots flirting with the like Ricky Starks? Anything that has to do with his neck, I'm just like, man, like why like
at what stage are you going to be a boss and keep the talent or protect the talent from themselves?
Right.
Coaches do it all the time in the NBA, NFL, MLB. Coaches do it in boxing and MMA bouts all the time. Hell, even owners do it with certain sports franchises. You put the athlete first because that's how you extend their longevity. The minute you let them do whatever the hell they want, well, guess what? You're going to have them for that much time less.
The Sammy Guevara stink spot on the table, we didn't need that. The Sammy Guevara spot with the ladder and Jeff Hardy, we didn't need that.
Hell, even the one with Matt Hardy off the scaffold or the cherry picker.
When he busted his head?
Yeah, and then they let And then they let Matt continue the match. And I thought Rebby Hardy was going to just fight Tony Khan her own goddamn self.
Yeah, we didn't need that. Edge just falling from the top of the
And then Edge
we didn't
admitting,
need that.
I'm 50 years old and stupid. Your boss could have told you that. Hell, Vince would have told you to your face. You do that again, you're fired.
That was not thought out at all.
And especially when you admit it was someone with the experience that he has. If I would have did it off the regular top turnbuckle, we would have got the same effect out of it.
Thank you. That's what stood out to me the most. That's what stood out to me the most.
You knew better. One of your closest friends in Jeff Hardy knows better.
And the same night that Anarchy in the Arena is gonna take place, that if he knew what was happening in that match, there's flamethrowers, there's people being hanged upside down from their legs, exploding thumbtacks, cars.
He's looking at it at the boys are having fun.
And I'm pretty sure if he was like that type, I say go for it. Like Sting was flying off of shit. He was just nailing it. That's the only difference. Now, do I think Sting would have did that spot? Maybe not.
Fuck no.
Right. So there's like, why'd you do that though? Like, why'd you climb all the way up there and just what were you gonna do? An elbow drop, bro? Like, why you ain't just do it then?
He was attempting an elbow drop.
Like that's the part that's like why the elbow drop? Why not a body splash?
I guess as he jumps, he then realized he's a lot higher off the ground than what he thought he was.
Yeah, and that shit was going. He'd rather have broke his leg than broke his hip. You heard? Because if you going for the elbow drop, right, the brunt of that impact got to go to your knee and your hip there. Like when you coming down, you don't want to land directly on top of them, right? And I think that's also what factored in. He's like, damn, how the fuck I'm gonna land this shit?
You could have hit this. You could have hit a superfly splash. In the worst case scenario, you might have broken a rib, maybe.
I'm gonna be honest. I was surprised the way he landed that the table even broke, bro.
Right.
I was like, nah, he forced this shit. He forced him through the table. Because, bro, it just looked like he fell down on him with a lazy ass arm. Like, what the hell?
Malachi had to like dig into it with the barbed wire just in case.
Right? Like,
let me scuff this table up right quick.
Man, that's another thing too. I like just wrapping him in the barbed wire probably threw him off too. Maybe I don't know. It was just a lot going on in that moment, but just things we don't need.
Yeah, and then all that time is we're then waiting for the Gangrel spot.
Nah, that would have been crazy. Imagine like, thank goodness that Edge was able to finish the match.
No shit, because that would have been very awkward.
Very. He would have had to fucking like they'd have had to call an audible where Gangrel would have had to hit all of them with the impaler or some shit, and Edge would have had to fucking just slide over for the pin.
I don't know how they would have did it. I didn't want to think about it. Just glad it didn't happen.
Man, right? Because it could have got gruesome. Like, let's say if it was really bad, like.
Well, like a Sid Vicious bad?
Yeah, facts. Honestly, that's where I thought we was going. When I first seen Edge fall like that, I was like, no. Like, I kind of like, when you watch something and your eyes squint and you kind of like turn, I know, I don't want to see this.
You're like, I know damn well he ain't gonna do what I think he's gonna do.
Yeah, man. And I thought he was gonna do a body splash. I was okay seeing a body splash because I'm like, okay, well, Alistair's gonna absorb most of the contact. Nah, dude went for the elbow drop. I seen him go straight down. I like my eyes. I'm like, nah, man, I can't. Then I see him kind of like it's tough to get up. So I'm like, oh yeah, nah, something's hurting, bro. I just didn't know that he really had a fractured leg to the point that like
he didn't find out until he got to the hospital like hours later.
That's that shock running through him, that adrenaline. Like like it's that's a lot. Now, I don't know how a broken bone feels. The most I've had was separated shoulders, torn ACLs, and I went walking around with that with a month without knowing. I just felt like, when you go do some things, and you're like, damn, why I can't lift this shit up? Like my shoulder I went to do the MRI, separated shoulder. I was like, ain't no way.
Yeah, I've had plenty of those. I broken my foot once. That was an interesting feeling because like apparently it's been broken for a while, but I thought I just had a sprained ankle based on how the break was.
Mm,
And out of nowhere at a rugby tournament, I felt like my foot go numb. One of the doctors, they're like, "Oh yeah, your shit's broken."
mm. I jammed one of my toes and my whole foot like swelled up, and I couldn't really walk for like a good month, bro. So it's not a broke feeling, but that numb feeling, that tenderness, I was like, damn, this shit different right here. And I got that from playing basketball. Like I came down wrong off of a rebound.
Yeah, and stingers are no joke either.
Man, yeah, that shit was just oof.
Because
I
all you can do is just hope that you get the feeling back.
Nah, yeah, I couldn't even. My foot was so swollen, I couldn't even put on like the regular sneakers that I had at that time. I just had to wear slides. Like I'd wear
Ooh.
one shoe and the other one was a slipper. I was like, nah, I can't. So yeah, those injuries, man. I be like, I say work. It's like just like working a regular job. You want to work smarter, not harder. Like I know we want to put on for the fans, but I think there's a time and a place for you. Like he said it himself best. The middle rope would have done just the same effect, even at the top rope. You know what I'm saying? It did just the same
Or
effect.
just spear him to the table, call it a day.
Right, like you could have, yeah, exactly, set the table up in the corner, boom, spam through. Like, yeah. He wanted to do that though. So as long as we know, like you said, sometimes, and if this was cleared with Tony, like, look, this is gonna be the spot for the night. Like, I'm gonna be honest, if I'm running a promotion, I don't want to feel like I'm micro watching the talent, but I want to ensure everybody that, like, yo, listen, y'all could freestyle shit, but if it's a risky, a high risk spot, I need to know. This is need to know basis. This isn't you guys surprise me, and if it went well, then you guys were okay with the risk. Nah, because there's
I didn't
things
know
that,
if I got to bug a hospital bed or not.
yes, I need to know if I need to make that unfortunate phone call to somebody's wife or husband tonight and tell them, look, this
Well,
person
I
got a
mean,
broken this, broken that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
in Edge's case, let's be honest, Beth Phoenix will be on the first plane getting ready to whip his ass her own damn self.
Like, what the
You
fuck?
stupid motherfucker! What I tell
No,
you?
you- Just giving him that look, like, you know, that Beth Phoenix look when she's tight.
Uh-huh. The vein side of her head starts popping out.
Nah, because like you said, sometimes you got to reel it in, right? Like, I know it's way different, but when you coaching or doing anything, like when I'm competing with my dudes and stuff, you got to reel it in. Like, all right, look, y'all, this ain't working, or whatever. You just got to put that foot down. That's the whole point. And for these promotions to run well, to succeed, I feel like that's what WWE has been doing for years. It doesn't matter what you want. Austin, take your ball and go home. Yeah, I want to sign you, but just know when you come back, you still falling in line, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all want to take your ball and go home? Yes. You know why I'm still calling you, ringing your phone up? Because you my investment. So I'm trying to make my investment double, triple, quadruple. So no, I'm not going to let you just walk away, especially not with the name. Whether we gave it to you or not, we copyrighted this shit. That's how WWE moving. Like, you feel? Or that's how they were moving. Now you might have a little, the Rock got hit, but not everybody's the Rock one.
You got to earn it.
You got to earn it. And we're in a new era. How are these things earned? We don't know. Do like do you earn yourself any favors when, in the case of Mercedes Monet, now you in AEW, you got a different name. But nah, I mean, like, if there was a world where you played your cards right, could you have your name Sasha Banks, where like the WWE right now be like, you know what, here, girl, you put that work in for us. You know what I'm saying? You gave
Has
us
she
10.
leaves it? Has she
Mhm.
leaves in a different manner? Maybe her just walking out kind of like seal the deal.
Right. Like there's still people in charge, like Triple H or others, that might look at that like, damn, like, nah, I mean, even though we got Naomi back, but we feel like the real trailblazer in that was Mercedes. Like, you know what I'm saying? We knew she was unhappy for a while, and we knew she wanted to make the most noise. I think Naomi, she wanted to make her own name, but ultimately being on the road, maybe the best decision was to find her way back to her husband. You know what I'm saying?
Well, also in Mercedes' case, you can also make the argument that once she had a little stint on Mandalorian, she probably thought she was bigger than what she really was.
Facts.
So now she's learning, no, I still gotta do some work.
Right, because on the Mandalorian shit, they was crediting her name like as her real name, not even as Sasha Banks.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, I could see why she like, nah, man, she got, nah, man, got her actual name up for real. Like, that's nothing to sneeze at. Like, I'm not gonna sneeze at that. Like, oh, I could just go up there and be on the Mandalorian. You know what I mean? But again, most of that popularity and notoriety came from you being on a platform provided by the WWE, which I think people lose like
They lose
focus
sight of
on.
it.
Yeah, they lose sight. Like, I don't want to say like this shit is like, we know what it is, right? So it's like, obviously you guys are kind of like paid actors, bro. And the better performances y'all put on, you get in better position in the company to do better things. That's the most basic, bland way I can put it. The wrestling aspect is a whole different mechanic in itself. But when I'm talking about the formula that is WWE, you go do what they tell you within the parameters of you showing them your worth. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's kind of what our truth does. Like, he's set in stone. I don't he probably does want a world championship run. But in his book and his career, he was happy doing what he did in his tenure in WWF, WWE, TNA. I
Because he knows
believe,
the crowd's eating it up.
yeah, like, we still, whether he was heel, he was a good heel. We booed him. It wasn't like silence, like just go away, kind of. It was kind of, we bought into the little Jimmy shit, the whole beefing with John's. You know what I'm saying?
Him saying he's gonna throw Paul Heyman over the top rope in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Coming out saying, "Oh, I'm going, like, I'm going for the Money in the Bank, and it's a Royal Rumble match." Or going for a hot tag in the Royal Rumble match, like just doing crazy shit. Like, okay, nah, he really making his work, bro. He making entertainment. He's not worried about. I think sometimes you got the two types of people that's like, they don't mind entertaining, and then people want to be recognized for the in ring work, which I think both shall be recognized. But like we see in AEW, that's not what's bringing in the numbers. In WCW, that shit wasn't bringing in the numbers. The way that WWE started laying shit out was like, you had like a dope, like you said, Jenna Jameson. They said it on the show. Kevin Nash, Jenna Jameson with Val Venus. That's like a dope. Whoa, that's like a dope. That's like a step away from a. That's like dark Showtime, right? Or Showtime, whatever they call that shit. Showtime after dark, HBO after
Yep.
dark. That's like a step away from that. Like, whoa, they putting out. Nah. Then you got the shit like Mark Henry and Mae Young. Like, oh, whoa, like, like, it wasn't
Katie
just like,
Vick.
yeah, like they had shit going on, even though it was wonky and wacky, but it made for must see television. As to where I feel like WCW, they relied, WCW, AEW, they relied on just the actual wrestling and beating people up shit. You'll have one cool storyline here. Like, you had the NWO. I think like that was the coolest shit WCW ever did. If you take away the NWO, does WCW, we even talk about them?
Nope.
Maybe not. No.
Nope.
Like, WCW got put on the map because of NWO. And I feel like same could be said with AEW. Are we really watch if Tony Khan makes this company by himself without the Young Bucks, without Kenny Omega, without Cody Rhodes, without Chris Jericho? Just the inception of the young people that he said that this was supposed to be about. Do we really watch it like that?
Well, again, it's entirely a different program.
Right. But that no,
But
but
then
then
again,
I still see him doing what he
I
did now, bringing them guys in.
well, again, at that point, if you take them out of the equation, you take away the guys that heavily influence them. So therefore, we see an entirely different Tony Khan. We may see one that's more inclined to listen to a JR, more inclined to listen to a Jeff Jarrett, a Taz. We may see an entirely different product.
Cause what I feel like too is like this whole little like I don't know if it's just me, but people are more receptive to the working relationship that WWE and TNA have rather than when AEW and TNA had their relationship. It was more felt like, oh, AEW just allow their people to go wherever.
Well, like I said, that's it. It felt theirs felt forced, whereas WWE. This is something that again, even when Vince left, we always wondered, all right, are they actually going to work with others? Triple H is trying to tell everybody we are an entirely different world now. We would love to have your business. We would love to do business with you. Just hear us out. We're an entirely different program now.
Is it safe to say this? Can I say this about the Forbidden Door?
Fire away.
Okay, so why was the word Forbidden Door created? Because in my opinion, this is just my opinion, dissecting what I knew from wrestling. The word Forbidden Door was made because WWE didn't acknowledge outside wrestling, right?
Traditionally, yes. And then
But
Tony Khan tried to turn to a cheap money grab.
right, so you got WWE not allegedly letting people in, so the IWC terms this coin the Forbidden Door. Whenever you see like maybe you see somebody from a different company, oh, they walk through the Forbidden Door, but I don't.
Traditionally, if there were like, look at AJ for example, everything that happened at TNA, New Japan, Ring of Honor, that didn't exist in Vince's eyes.
Right,
When
correct.
when Sheamus, Drew McIntyre came from the European Indies, what they did then didn't matter. What only happens is what happens in Vince world in WWE.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like with AEW, if you're already working with New Japan, AEW, if y'all already, if your thing is y'all work with everybody, then nothing's really a forbidden door.
Right.
The real forbidden door is if y'all get that working relationship amongst everybody, everybody's on the same page. Then we could have a real situation where it's like, oh no, the forbidden door has completely been busted open.
And you don't get that unless Tony Khan can butter up to Triple H.
Right, because if you're telling me forbidden door, I think that door is still closed. You selling
Yep.
me a pay-per-view of a door that's just like a closed door. You're not selling me a
The window
pay-per-view.
might be open
Be
on
open. But you selling me the pay-per-view poster of a closed door instead of an open door with the whole brand, every brand in the door. You know what I'm saying? In the
Yeah.
visionary of the doorway. Because I started thinking about that shit more as we were talking, like, and then I feel a big key point of when, like you said, they put on these forbidden doors and shit, you'll see a form of WWE talent. So that's like their cheap way of, creating that forbid. Oh, you would have never seen this in WWE, which is kind of something WCW, they didn't used to do that, but they used to try to bring over former WWE talent, throwing them that checkbook and selling them false hope.
Well, New Japan, in the older Wrestle Kingdoms, they would have a random battle royal in the pre-show to determine contestants for the never open six-man champions later on that show. That's where we saw Billy Gunn make his debut. You've seen guys like Super Crazy pull up. There's all these random names that you haven't heard in like years. Just pull up to New Japan.
And then I'm gonna be honest too. I feel like we wrongfully throw shade at WWE. Like we forget that when people were allowed to finish their contract with the championship, they did foolish things.
Most of them, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like when we did when there was a time period that we allowed leniency, this is what made them put the foot down. You give an inch, they want to take a mile, and that's just human nature. You in any division of everything, there's gonna be somebody that want that mile, whether they deserve it or
Someone's always
not.
going to try.
Somebody always gonna try it. But in business, this is where people get shit fucked up because wrestling ain't what you want. What like as a fan, it could be what you want, but when you in it, it becomes a business. Unless you
Wrestling,
just funding it to just not give a fuck about the outcome.
but
That's the
but
only way.
but in order to make a buck, much like any of the sport, it is a "what have you done for me lately" type of business. What makes you so marketable that you're going to be one of the top 3 to 5 sellers for merchandise? How can I assure that if I put you at a main event spot, you're going to sell out the venue I'm trying to have?
Yeah.
Are you the one, like they like to say, can you actually put asses in seats?
And also, I feel like you gotta prepare them for that moment too, though. Like WWE, they don't just shove people out there. Yo, you gonna main event because we think you know what I mean? Like shit is thought out, bro. Like you said, okay, all right. Like before we put Jey Uso main event, we need months of building him this way. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't just oh yeah, 1 week we gonna just because Jimmy's hurt. Like we had to do the whole bloodline shit, get him involved with Roman, get him feuding with his cousin. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a whole rollout for that shit.
Just the rise of Sami Zayn, the 2-year story of Cody Rhodes,
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels on the Boyhood Dream,
Even Jade
Austin,
Cargill, her
Austin
rollout.
finally winning. Yeah,
Her rollout was fire to me. Like I don't see really like AEW when they signing somebody, it's kind of already like news like oh yeah, like he left WWE and then boom. In that city on that night, we know like you could argue Mercedes Monet was kind of like trying to be presented like Jade, but the way that Jade
or
rollout happened was crazy. Like it was just like, oh man, when we gonna get her? What brand she going to? Throw her in the
or,
Royal Rumble.
even look at what ultimately led up to Bailey's Mania moment. Everyone's wanted that for her for so long. When we finally got it,
Mhm.
it was all the more worth it.
Yeah. And it was fire how they did it. Like she's under a different persona now. We don't see the hug life Bailey right now. Like,
She's the role model.
yeah, like character transformations. To me, it's a whole bunch of shit that's fire that WWE do. That it go and they've been doing it for so long that I think people just knock and they like condition and train. So they kind of get bored with seeing the same shit, which that's cool. But then now when the numbers come back and these other companies, AEW, WCW back in the day, numbers don't lie, man. You can't tell me somebody prefers something over something else. Numbers don't lie. Women lie, men lie. Numbers do only if you fabricate them.
And all WWE is doing is they're making movies.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah. That's another thing too. Like WWE right now in present age, they're moving so fast. They're capturing all the right sponsors. They jumping on everything that like maybe Vince was gearing on, but I feel like Vince still had that like
His demons kind of got the better of him.
yeah, like he still got to be in control and like present a certain way. I think Triple H is okay with or like WWE right now with TKO in general is okay with like all right, let's try this, let's do this. You know what I'm saying?
Because look at them now. They're linked up with ESPN. They're linked up with Major League Baseball, the NFL, the UFC, Disney, Netflix.
Yeah. Vince kind of wanted to be a monopoly at one point where like he
Well,
doing it all. Like you know what I'm saying? I was surprised that even when they started doing those separate TV deals, he might have only did it because it's the big dollar signs attached to them. But I'm
yeah.
pretty sure if he could have found a beneficial way to do it himself, he would have did it himself. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, WWE is the brand. Like everybody's fighting for rights to have Raw Smack. Like you know how special that is. Like that's insane.
Because now Raw's a brand, SmackDown's a brand, NXT's a brand, Level Up soon to be a brand.
Yeah, like you can legit. You're not just fighting to have WWE as a whole. Nah, We talking about you only getting this one show right here, but just know this one show do numbers. Like that's crazy that they in that position and leverage. Like
And no signs of slowing down, which is amazing.
no signs of slowing down.
Just when we think that they're out of ideas, they come up with 20 more out the blue. It's like, oh, okay. We should have known better.
And again, there's importance on from the bottom of the like whatever match you see, just know it's not a random match anymore. Everything has relevance. Like there's a tie-in to something from like you know what I'm saying? Like if you see EO Sky and Lyra fighting this week, it's not random. It's because what happened in the King in the Queens and the Ring tournament. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a drawback to a lot going on right now in
Well,
WWE.
and again, NXT has done that from time to time, just not as frequently, but also the key factor that makes one so many levels above the other that it's an unreachable feat right now is because over the last half a century, WWE has the proven records of overcoming adversity no matter what the circumstance. You could throw anything at them, they will find a way to persevere through it, and they will be better off for it. Whereas AEW, you have the brawl out situation, you have the Wembley situation, and all they've done is just sweep things under the rug. They're not showing that they can handle these type of situations, which is again is a testament to WWE for being the professional establishment.
That's it. I feel like we talk about who killed WCW. We about to be talking about who killed AEW soon.
Well, again, those that do not pay attention to history are doomed to repeat it.
That's the facts. That's what I'm saying. Like that's what I was trying to say earlier. That like Tony Khan giving me shades of like what Eric Bischoff was doing, but with worse intent, and it's more of a try rather than do. Like
And he thinks it's cute.
yeah, like you're trying to replicate this success and show TNT or TB. Like, what was the whole point of going to them if there was no intent to like give a throwback feel to that era? Like, you know what I'm saying? What? Why them? Why say we bring back wrestling to team? Like, come on.
Well, that's a Vince McMahon move just to say you did it.
Yeah, like, and then you say you don't want to do shit like that. You don't want to be like,
And then they'll say, "Oh, but this is different."
mm-hmm. I think if anybody didn't want to be like anybody, then you'll do some crazy shit like not make no championships or something. Nigga made mad championships. Like you just
Hey,
devalue.
TNA had the 6-sided ring.
Yeah, like
Again, there's ways you can think outside the box to make yourself seem like an entirely different product. And again, there's nothing wrong with experimenting with all that stuff. Just if you have a hunch on something, just stick to it. Ride that out for a couple years. Just don't switch up every couple weeks. Like the ranking system, for example, that could have been something had you held on to it.
yeah, they didn't commit, and it was dumb how they was doing it. Like you shouldn't. It's like a unranked or it's like an exhibition preseason match. Like anything being done in elevation and dark, that should be like a preseason game. That's not even like we're not counting that on the regular season record, bro. Like
Yeah, that's like your sparring sessions right there.
yeah, like that's an exhibition. Why are you counting that? Like just to stuff the stats. You patting the stats right there. You just want to say 39-1 just to say, but who are these 30 dudes that's not even like really signed to the company? This is like one-off appearances. Oh yeah, the local talent. You know, like nah, bro. Now, unfortunately, that's how they again modeling shit off of what they seen before. Oh, let's build up a streak. A streak. Why we always got to do a streak?
But again, that could work. Just it's got to be someone believable. It's got to be like a Samoa Joe, a Wardlow, a Powerhouse Hobbs, not no fucking Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy.
For real. That's yeah.
That's if you want to make money. That is.
You ain't lying though, because it's like I've seen too many matches where Cassidy is the winner, and it's like, damn, like
how?
right. So you're telling me if you was in WWE losing to quote unquote Enzo Amore or Santino
Santino
Marella,
Marella.
why we said the same shit? Because that's what it is. Like you fucking losing to Santino and you're mad over there, but you're okay with losing to Orange Cassidy because he's over.
Or I'll go one step further. And this ain't no shade whatsoever. This is one of my favorites. You have a 45-minute barn burner with Funaki in a losing effort.
For real. For real.
I mean, Funaki nice, but
he was a champion word though.
But if you're if you're a dude that's built like Brock Lesnar and you go 45 with Funaki and you lose,
what they forgot? That's SmackDown best commentator.
SmackDown's number one announcer.
Yeah, like come on, man. They ain't, man. He used to come out there with that cut off SmackDown shirt. Like that was fucking Tozawa before Tozawa and shit. Like,
hey, but it works.
Yeah, nah. This is what I'm saying. That even though they were like dudes like that, they still found shit for them to do, and it was like cool. It was like, all right, we don't really want to see Funaki as Intercontinental champ. We all right with him being a little light heavyweight, whatever he was, hardcore champion. You know what I mean? That shit cool.
And they'll be like, do whatever you want. I bet.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. They done put the other belt, one of the more serious belts, on Orange Cassidy. This nigga just defeating niggas left and right. Like he like that. Like that's tough.
Same with Hurricane Shane Helms.
Like, I'm gonna be honest, the way that nigga Orange Cassidy fight is the equivalent to like a nigga saying, yo, I could fight you with both my hands tied behind my back, dog.
Blindfolded.
Type shit. Like, that's the type of shit he on right now. Like, nah, I mean, like, that's OD. Historically, there used to be a stipulation, like, you'll see Vince like, Austin, one hand tied behind your back, and Austin's selling it. What? One hand tied behind my back? Like, nah, this dude just shoving his hands in his pockets, folding niggas. Get out of here. Championship minds, like what? Bro, I ain't gonna lie. That's what made me not like Cassidy after a while. No, I probably not his fault because it looked like after a while. I think I even heard him say he ain't know, like when they said they were gonna put the belt on him, like he didn't know, like, oh, okay, like you know what I'm saying? But I thought it was cool when he was just like that act, like, okay, we see him on the kickoff show, the pre-show, maybe a first match, but to really feature him.
Yeah, to be that dude.
Yeah. Like that shit was crazy. Like,
and then like the worst stat to where in the last 12 months he's only been beaten like twice.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like he on some Gunther shit right now. Like since he's joined this company, only 3 people have beat Orange Cassidy.
This motherfucker is Brock Lesnar. Fuck you mean?
Like
he's Brock Lesnar pre-USADA drug testing. This is a monster.
Like, dog, I can't even think now that I don't even remember who beat Orange Cassidy, bro.
I don't fucking remember either. This is
whoever he lost the belt to.
This is peak Undertaker at Mania, like before like 2009 when he was that dude. This is Orange Cassidy in a nutshell.
Awesome. Yo, that's wild, bro. Like
I mean, Matt Hardy did say that Orange Cassidy is like Tony Khan's Undertaker. Now we know why.
Man, like real company, real Tony Khan guy for real, because just do what you know what I mean? Like that's the loyalty part of the game. That's the other part of the game that's fucked up. But again, there's so many talented people making the jump because they think they're gonna get this spotlight. And there's already things in play here, y'all. Like if there's people that free up that aren't already with the company that are friends of these guys, look at Okada right to the top. Not saying he don't deserve it, but what happens to earning it in AEW? That's gone. That been gone the second that, like,
instead it's, oh, I know so and so. All right, cool. You're all right. You locked in.
Mm-hmm. And then it just shows too. I'm gonna be honest. For me, it's not a good look when you got all of these people in your company and the first person that jumps ship it seems like they just getting the championship. or some kind of championship. Like Adam Copeland jumps over. He's already beefing with Christian, and he gets the championship. Swerve Strickland took a little bit longer, but you look back, Samoa Joe came over. Swerve Strickland came over. They weren't there since day 1 or 2. They came through more like day
Did
3.
Danielson win a belt when he first got there? Did Malachi? Did Claudio won the Ring of Honor stuff? But
Yeah, Claudio. Alistair, I think he was like in a weird position where they was keeping him away from. But did he beef with Cody for the TNT?
Yeah, but I don't think he won.
Yeah, see, at that point, the
That
TNT was more.
that was right before Brody came in, I think.
Mm-hmm. And again, like you said, when Cody left, they kind of lost their identity. Like that TNT championship was more homegrown back then. A lot of shit was like it felt more homegrown, right? Like, okay, y'all not just giving it to the outside, with the exception of Jericho, but that feels since he been away from WWE, it didn't feel like a direct jump. Like he did his little stint in Japan, whatever the case may be.
That title meant something when you had Sammy and Scorpio Sky trading it off.
Mm-hmm. And then, like I say now, okay, you got Mercedes. She just came over, wins the championship.
First match, pulled a page over Nikki Bella.
Yep. Will Ospreay comes over, wins a championship. Hell, Roderick Strong, he's been there for a while too, but he was just in NXT too. They gave him the chip.
Well, he's been injured for a while, and let's be honest, we'd much rather see him with a belt than Orange Cassidy. Like, at least when he does, he actually can do some shit.
Facts. But I'm just saying though, like they have all these people, all these talents, and they just heading away. I think they just bring back Scorpio Sky the other day, or what?
Did they?
I don't know. I felt like I seen something with him, but I'm not sure.
I remember last time I seen him. And like what I touched on the other day, where's Miro?
Big Bill. Like just because he's in a new tag team.
So I think he got renamed secretly. They pulled a Vince move back. Jericho calls him Redwood now.
Oh God. That's kind of wild too.
Yeah, they pull some Vince shit now. They're changing the names without even telling nobody. Yeah, but again, like just with the lineup for Dynamite tomorrow, it's because you're going up against very intense competition. Yes, it's within your own network, but still all the more reason you're not even putting up a fight. Like this is a show where you should be having. Everyone wants to see MJF. Everyone wants to see what's going down between Willow and Chris Statlander. Everyone wants to see what's going down between Hook and Samoa Joe. You have stories that folks are invested in. You're just choosing to invest in stuff that no one really gives a fuck about.
5 years ago, we had Punisher Martinez versus Scorpio Sky at Honor for All.
I remember that match. That one was amazing. Because again, Priest, he was in his bag then. Scorpio SCU was white hot. Again, that's when, like I said, Ring of Honor, they were regaining some steam. They were getting back on their feet. And then AEW just bent them over.
And look, again, people want to criticize how talent is used. Look how one is being utilized versus the other.
You guys have lost Cody Rhodes, Jade Cargill, CM Punk, Frankie Kazarian.
You know who I think would be phenomenal in WWE? Thunder Rosa. Only because if she polishes what's already good in ring work, if she polishes it to a WWE style, I think she'll be unique. On I don't recall seeing any female luchadors over on WWE right now.
Well, I mean, you have Zelina, but again, she's much tinier than Thunder.
And then even the way that she paints her face, like I think she went away from it in the last match. I don't know if she's gonna continue to go away from it, but I think that shit is dope too. Like she can market that shit in WWE well. Think I don't know how well AEW marketed that, but it's like a Rey Mysterio situation there where like they got something there, and WWE seen it with Rey Mysterio. Oh nah, we want you with the mask, brother. Oh, we're gonna put this worldwide. I think like
Look how they market Oscar with the face paint.
that's what I'm saying. And Thunder Rosa, she's Mexican, so that
And she speaks English.
yeah, the Dia de la Muerte face paint, the Cinco de Mayo, or like that whatever it is that she's doing there, it's fire to me. So I think like yeah, that's something
You
right there.
you get her and Pentagon together. There's some money to be made right there.
Oh wait.
But also, I would love to see Serena Deeb back in WWE. I'd love to see Deonna Purrazzo and Britt Baker back over there. Because again, Vince isn't there anymore. So I would hope that would entice more of them to consider and when their contracts come up.
I think it definitely has to play a key factor. Like
now, if Shawn Michaels can get his hands on Julia Hart, I guarantee you he can make her a star quicker than they made Jade Cargill.
and I feel like there's nothing to worry about in WWE as far as having too much talent, because as we seen reports a few weeks ago, and within years, we're gonna have what is it, SummerSlam growing to be 2 nights. Like the company is just growing. Like
Well,
this could be.
that's next year, huh?
I could be wrong. It might be next year or it might be 2026. But I know within the next 2 years, they definitely gonna position to making SummerSlam 2 nights. So we could be in a day and age where they positioning the 4 major shows to be 2 nights.
Make a whole weekend out of it.
And you could sprinkle in, NXT. They got Heat Wave at Money. The NXT been active. So it's not like they just gonna be sitting around watching.
So potentially the new schedule could be the NXT PLE on a Friday, the main shows on Saturday and Sunday. They could do weekend packages. NXT on Friday, SummerSlam night 1 on Saturday, night 2 on Sunday.
Oh yeah. Yup. Like you have the NXT PLE come on right after SmackDown, or you have it come on early in the day. Because I remember one time they did this where they came on the same day, if I'm not mistaken, but just earlier on in the day. Like I think they did like a 12 o'clock pay-per-view or something like that. NXT.
Yeah. Around Mania they do that.
Yeah.
And also on top of that, should that be successful as we would anticipate it will be, you'll get what usually happens WrestleMania season anyways, where you have every indie promotion do a show in that same city that week, and that way everybody eats.
Yeah. That's
so again,
that's another thing. They can't ignore that when, like you said, those WrestleMania, everybody throw their little events on because they trying to eat. They know everybody's in town, meet and greets, events, indie events. So, we got to put respect. Why y'all trying to put WWE in the dust? Because, I mean, y'all ain't built that working relationship with them. Like that sounds like a personal thing. Like,
well, here's the thing. Before it was the indies are going to pick off of that. Now it could be more so Triple H is inviting all of them, so that way they're getting a piece of that $5 billion too, potentially.
Yeah.
So again, there's a good chance that Triple H he gonna be feeding everybody. And again, if Tony Khan can swallow his pride and say, "I'm sorry for calling you a bald asshole," maybe he can eat on that pie too.
The thing is, before that even happens, they got to do a real reality check. AEW, like they really got to look in the mirror. And the same way they did that overhaul, remember when Dynamite was first presented? Like it looked like Nitro. It had the little Nitro colorway, black, red, yellow. And then now they position to this blue and red bullshit. Like they need to kind of go over another underhaul, but one that's genuine, bro. A genuine underhaul. Like don't overhaul. Don't do some shit that you trying to be like this company. You just got this guy from he left WWE production, so now he did this new colorway for Dynamite. Nah, be genuine, bro. Like y'all gotta have a true identity that the crowd can back. One like again, I say like NWA had one before when they went back to their little homage, but that was their history. AEW kind of create their history like TNA did. And I think I'll be more receptive to it. Like right now, the way they just keep slandering, like yeah, WWE done took their shot, or Piss and Company, but it's kind of like you poking the bear, bro, type shit. Like y'all be poking the bear. What you want them to do? To stay silent, turn the other cheek, not say nothing?
Well, and that's the other issue with things. It's like, aside from Daly's plays, which they even still struggle to sell out, what city can you necessarily call them to be their home? You can argue Chicago for All In. You can argue what's the other one? Philly, because he was a big ECW fan. You can argue Arthur Ashe.
Can you put that argument based on who they booking for that evening? Because I feel like it's heavily relied on like fan favorite at times too. Like if you telling me you booking that Boston show without Mercedes, you booking New York without MJF, like you know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of times that Madison Square Garden, like we don't get our hometown hero. We don't get like he's not, but we was happy to see a Roman Reigns. I'll tell you that. The bloodline, the Brock Lesnar, we was happy to see all that.
Well, that's kind of my point. Like, I mean, like one can say that the Garden is the original home of WWE. Mm-hmm. The Nashville Coliseum was essentially TNA. That was the Asylum.
Georgia for WCW or the Disney.
ECW has the 2300 Arena. PWG has their own gym in Reseda, California. Where can aside from Dailies, whatever, where can WWE or AEW call themselves home?
Just Dailies, in my opinion, because I feel like you said, Chicago definitely a second runner up, but everything
you kind of burnt that bridge.
maybe what is it, Wembley, London? No funny shit. Like if they really sell, like if they continue to, that could be they little landmark kind of Tokyo Dome shit.
And I'm just saying, like, I'm just trying to think if they were to do another complete overhaul, they would need a marquee venue. Now, with the way they book their stuff, Tony would have to guarantee sellouts just for them to even break even most times. And it's like, how do you one up yourselves when the bar is not too big to begin with?
Yeah, I mean that's tough because I would imagine that like it might not be receptive well, but you would want to like position yourself with somebody else. Like you already got Ring of Honor, right? So wherever Ring of Honor used to base out of, maybe you can now make that whole little territory.
Ring of Honor was I want to say somewhere between Philly and Delaware, right around along that border.
Would you be mad if AEW kind of did some shit like TNA where they kind of changed their name a little bit? Like, you know how it was TNA, then you got Impact or TNA Impact. What if they kind of did like AEW ROH? Or is that too much?
I'd only give it a chance on this condition. You bring back Kerry Silken, and Kerry Silken has the final say so over everything.
Again, it has to be genuine. Yeah, you can't just say ROH and it not be a ROH. I would think you got to be genuine and bring back the key components that made ROH. Let them have their hands in, and the only difference is like you're funding, bro. You're funding.
Or if Kerry doesn't want it, you hand it to Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe.
Oof.
And you let them do whatever they want with it because that's their home. But you gotta leave it the fuck alone.
Yeah, because that's the only thing that I feel like for me, again, I'm gonna keep touching on the point of genuine. Like what WWE does is not like wholeheartedly genuine to the point that, but they're true to their identity when they want to nail home key factors like family, like the whole thing with the bloodline. They do that very well, and I
And
think.
and
Mhm.
I'm not saying he can't be a genuine person. All I'm saying is like throughout these last 5 years, one thing that I've noticed is that he struggles to stick to what's consistent. If something's working, he kind of like rushes through it because he's afraid it's going to burn out. That may be the case with some stories, but oftentimes, if something that the crowd is loving, it's okay to stretch it out a few more weeks. Like I said, you don't want to leave money on the table because if you stretch out those extra couple weeks, within those extra couple weeks is when more people finally start showing to see that, hey, I want to see what happens next.
No, I agree with you right there. Like they haven't done anything, and I love like when I see good stories and good wrestling. It doesn't always have to be good. Like brawlers don't have the sexiest style. This is what like dudes like Austin, Randy Orton's sexiest thing is the RKO. The like he got like two or three people criticize Cena for five moves of death. Well, some of our favorites have the same thing, and then they're outside of that they're fucking brawlers. Like not everything was a high spot. Not everything was a like. If we talking boxing terms, they're not out there throwing fucking haymakers every punch. You got to set things up. You know, there's jabs. They throwing jabs. Crowd control. They being a showman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And again, especially if it's a hot crowd where they're gonna love you already, save the bigger spots, make them want it that much more.
Yeah, like Taker wasn't always flying out the top of the ring. You'll probably see that shit in a match where like, all right, this is another hot. Like you'll see it with Shawn Michaels, maybe a Kyle. Like dudes are significant. You wasn't seeing him do that shit with like he ain't have to do that shit to like fucking like a Tajiri or some shit or you know what I'm
Or
saying? Like
look at the infamous Triple H Reign of Terror. He wasn't bringing out that sledgehammer for shits and giggles.
correct. That's why I like the chairman shit Sean Spears was doing. Wow, how simple. You fucking hit people with chairs. Now you're the chairman.
Mhm.
Like, why has nobody did this before? Like, it was
it's
just
it's
so.
it's it's amazing how much mileage you can get out of the simple things.
You feel me? Like, I thought it was so. Like, I don't know how everybody else fucked with it, but I thought they had something there with that. Like, oh nah, oh y'all the real y'all EVPs and all that. But I'm going around. I'm the chairman, bro.
But real quick, I have breaking news.
Oh yeah, I'm for it. Come on.
Broken Matt Hardy wants a shot at the NXT Championship.
All right, Chi my, I love where this is going. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I might have to do the rock right. Yes, bro. Cause I just got these goosebumps that ran from my shoulder down to my left arm now. Ah,
The
man,
minute you hear delete, it's over.
yeah. So now I might think they might give a few people entrances. Like they really might surprise us on some shit. Like,
Oh, and also Matt has also spoiled the beans that Jeff's contract is up in a few weeks.
bro, I ain't gonna lie. Tony's doing the right thing, low key though. Like he not holding niggas purgatory. Like he is by default that they on con, but like he not really like re-signing them if he not gonna use them. That's the one good thing I do say. Like don't,
Oh, we don't know. Again,
yeah, we don't know, but that's what it appears like. Like he just letting these dudes like walk right now, unless he is put like you said. We don't know. He could be making these offers, and these niggas is just like, nah, nigga, like I'm out. It could be like real talk. It could be that way. Like, listen, Tony, I'm not with it no more.
it could be that, and like you said, it could also even be there. He's probably counting his coins in the event that Warner doesn't come through with a deal that could, in theory, fund the show.
Hmm. That's got to
Yeah,
be a double whammy. You got contracts running up. There's no TV deal in place, and Again, I feel like it's different when WWE do it. They're more like weighing their options.
And
Like,
their shit signed sealed 2-3 years in advance most times.
and most often than not, if this deal don't fall through, they got another network waiting, salivating for that moment.
I mean, shit. At any point in time, Triple H can just say, "The Saudis is paying for all this."
Because right now, WWE is red hot. They were striking those deals while Vince was around, still putting out a mediocre product or a product that we weren't really happy with. The best thing that came out was the Bloodline story. Yes. Um, Outside of that, though, right now,
of,
The Rock
of
coming back, TKO. I think everybody wants their hands on WWE.
$5 billion
Mm.
just for Raw. That is wild. And then even look at the NBA. They just locked up what, 76 billion across 3-4 networks or
That's
something like
insane.
that. And they're still willing to give a TBS a couple games too for a price. It's amazing how much it costs for television these days, or how much folks are willing to dish out. Which again, Tony, you should be in a much better spot than what you are now with the talent that you have in the ring and outside of the ring. We shouldn't have to be worried about your rights deal because of how much talent's over there. But here we are in the 11th hour.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of like a good sports team that, like, a lot of Yankees, sometimes Lakers. You see it where these teams, they go for the big names and they don't end up winning a championship. There's no cohesiveness. There's no real game plan. Like you said earlier, what's the fucking plan? There was no plan. You know what I'm saying? WCW, no plan. AEW, no plan.
And here we are. The numbers are in indefinite limbo. They showed signs of life these last couple weeks, but tomorrow is a very, very important evening for them.
Yup, we shall see. Cause tomorrow we do have AEW coming on the same night as the NBA Finals.
And I'm probably going to be watching more of that finals because Luka's playing like he's on life support, and Kyrie is nowhere to be found, it seems.
And then I'm gonna be honest, one last topic, one last thing before I go. I just wanted to say this because I'm thinking about it too. If they ever do an AEW ROH thing, and you have the luxury to have 2 to 3 shows that you have, that's the time to. I don't understand why you don't have 2 brands, bro. Like, fuck this collision bullshit. What's the other shit called too? What? Like all
Who,
these stupid,
Rampage?
yeah, all these stupid ass names that sound like a PS2 game. Bro, just keep like that ass, bro. Like I'm cool with Dynamite because that was the first show. That's it. Now the second show, ROH. Boom. And then the third show, developmental. I don't know what the fuck y'all call development, but that's where you give the people that ain't been getting time the fucking time. You don't mix in your world champion cutting a fucking promo like on a fucking show with no ratings, hoping that it'll boost the ratings. Cause it could backfire for your champion if people don't show up and watch. It can make it look like, well, is he really moving the needle when he's not doing a bad job? Swerve not doing a bad job. But when it's presented in the light of, oh well, when you got him on TV, the numbers still don't jump, or they're jumping a little bit, but it's not. That doesn't do anything for the talent. The show has to be structured so that you're not relying on the talent that appears to get the ratings, because that's what it seems like unintentionally. It seems like you're relying on the talent that appears to then brag the next week when the ratings come out, the next day, whatever the fuck that however it happens. Oh yeah, well we got these ratings.
The world champion should be the icing on the cake for them.
Yes. If your main show is on a Wednesday, I shouldn't have to wait till a Saturday to hear him talk about anything. He shouldn't even be on the Saturday show. He should be chilling, actually. He's the
Or the
champion.
Friday show.
You feel me? He's the champion. Why is he on the Saturday show? He should be chilling. Just saying.
It's amazing. The network that will now have NXT, which is the CW, that could have gone to AEW or Ring of Honor, but Tony
Like,
said no.
learn a fucking lesson. Did you see how, like, I don't know how everybody else receptive of it was, but like seeing Trick Williams and Cody Rhodes in the ring together, champions uniting, like, but like obviously this is the developmental brand. Like, you know what that must have did for a Trick to just
Did
be in
you
the, like, come on.
call me crazy? But I think they were a lot louder for Trick than they were for Cody.
I felt that way. Not gonna lie to you. Like, that's Trick's house though.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, respectfully to Cody, you don't come down here like that, bro. Like, yeah, we
like,
had
like
like
I'm serious. Like that whoop, that Trick was a little bit louder than that whoa. The only whoa I heard was Booker. I didn't hear the crowd. That should have been telling enough. Nothing against Cody. It's just, again, that is a testament to how NXT treats their champions. Their champions, their house, which makes
and
NXT feel like its own brand now for the first time
exact
in a long time.
and that's what I'm saying. If you have the luxury of fucking having 3 slots, 3 fucking slots, why keep it the fucking same? We seen WCW talk about this on the show tonight. Talent fatigue. The crowd got talent fatigue. Oversaturation of like, okay, you moving parts around. You're not giving us the complete same show, but we might see this dude on the show like twice in 1 week, just doing random shit.
And also, if you think about it, they've done such a good job at the PG style. They're now being permitted to up the ante as far as age restrictions.
Mm.
Again, that with the SEC and all that stuff, that's a privilege. You don't have, just because you're at a certain time slot and it's usually okay. No, you got to earn that shit.
So again, where you said history repeats itself, AEW were using regular TV spots to get people to get cut with pizza cutters. That could have been a pay-per-view spot. But no, then the network complains to them. Yo, what are y'all doing, bro? Papa
How,
John's is on. Papa John's is on right now. How y'all going?
how,
Papa John's is on,
those
bro.
first 2 years, how often was Moxley bleeding?
But that shit though. But bro, the fact that they had a pizza cutter spot while
Oh
Papa
no,
John's.
I remember that. That was Jericho and Nick Gage. I
Yeah,
remember
I know
that.
you remember that. But the fact that they did that, and you're right
That was
about
bold.
Moxley. Bro, and then they got spoke on because of that, just like a WCW move.
That shit was on TMZ.
Like,
Like TMZ, they only post the dumb shit. You made the dumb shit list.
in a bad way though, like that publicity was bad. You're about to get your sponsor yanked. I think they did get yanked from that sponsor for a while. If they don't,
Yeah, I think it was Diamonds, whatever. They just said, no, we out of here.
like, damn. So all of that for a spot that could have been saved for when they're not on TV, when they're not, like, when you're not sponsored with them, like. So to me, they've a lot of shit. We could dissect a lot of moves that been poor for them. And again, just I always felt branding, especially when you acquire ROH, that's more than ever the time to brand.
When they got Ring of Honor initially, AW was still gaining some steam. I personally was hopeful that Tony Khan would just let Ring of Honor do their own shit. Again, there was talks of the whole CW stuff at the time. I was like, great. I can watch Ring of Honor wherever the hell I want. Perfect.
Let me ask you something, right? If WWE really allows Shawn, like we all keep giving Shawn Michael this praise, like so he's really running that shit down there. That's Shawn running NXT.
Correct.
why can't somebody run ROH for Tony Khan? I know and this is like, you know what I'm saying? It's a rhetorical question because we know the answer. He wants it to be all him.
That's
But
what I
to your
said.
point, yeah,
Give it to Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe. That's all you need.
I just don't be understanding shit, bro. I really don't sometimes. I really don't. I can't. I'm
Especially,
trying to piece it together from both sides, and then there's just that one side I don't see why you got to be so stubborn.
and like I said, think about it. You have arguably some of the greatest minds in the history of the industry on your payroll. They could have fixed your problems whenever the hell you wanted.
Man, that's incredible, bro. Like, I'm glad that we jumped down this rabbit hole because it's really like it's that back of conscious thought that I've always had about AEW that I really never cared to really just like. I just honestly, I'll tune in whenever there's something I deem must watch, like a MJF coming back, um, like Swerve potentially winning the championship got me invested, but beginning to end, 6 hours of their programming a week. I love professional wrestling. I'm gonna be honest, but what I don't enjoy is half-ass presentation. I'm not gonna watch FIBA basketball if the presentation is not right. I'm not gonna watch the Chinese Basketball Association for shits and giggles because I love basketball. That's why I mentioned basketball so much along with wrestling. Those are my analogies right there. I'm sorry.
And again, I don't blame you, but like I said, it's a testament to how Tony has allowed things to go down over the last 5 years. What was looked at as a dream team of a roster that was kept getting big name after big name from the independents, we could have had something there. Then, as we quickly found out, many of these talented individuals were kept on ice. The pandemic hits, which kind of again halts their progress. So, if you think about it, 2 years ago was their actual first year because then they were actually able to get going. You had the Punk stuff go down, Cody and Jade leaving. They never really recovered from those two losses. Now we're at a point to where everyone's contract's basically up, and you have guys that are okay to say, "No, I'm gonna go somewhere else. I'm gonna let this contract run out. I'm good."
Yeah,
This is a place where everybody wanted to be, especially because Vince was still in the fold. Even when Vince was gone, and folks were telling folks that Vince is gone, folks still wanted to give AEW a chance.
I mean that's probably one of the selling points, right? That like
I'm gonna
when
go here because Vince isn't there.
exactly, and but the
But
reason why, right? It was because you couldn't do things in WWE that
yep,
wrestlers wanted to do. Now you're being able to do, and if you show that you're professionally trained, they letting y'all get y'all shit off. Like we just seen tonight, Javon Evans do that spot. He almost got hurt, but they let him go for it. AJ Styles, Cody Rhodes, Styles clash off the steps. Like we're seeing more. We seen the
but also in AEW you have Jack Perry being set on fire,
that
Darby
shit was
Allin
yeah.
diving through a pane of glass, Darby Allin being hung by his broken foot.
See certain shit just like to me it's like it just don't make sense, man. Like again, now it's an era where I feel like Vince kind of like when he had Kane and Undertaker and stuff like that, he'll make these Inferno matches, and it was a one of a kind. Like, and even them guys like, damn, well, what the hell we supposed to do with this match, right? But as fans, I think we kind of intrigued by it and loved it.
But we also understood that again, certain characters you can get away with this, others not so much.
Thank you. Like, they don't really play. Like, why is he getting set on? Why 1 week? Because he's a daredevil. He's just gonna bring a flamethrower. Like, fuck it. Just like that's a crime what he doing right now. Like,
No. I forgot to tell you that after that episode, according to Tony Khan, Darby Allin got his permit.
what makes it even worse? Makes it even worse. Like
he
you get
went out and said he got a state permit for it.
like that makes it even worse. So it's like shit. Arn Anderson, I wonder if he got the permit for that 4-5. Man.
You know he got that in his wallet right next to his license.
Yeah, man. Arn riding smooth. He riding correct. Yeah.
Even then, he'll say, "Pick a hand." No, but that little group of Cody, Spears, Page, and King, with or
Very
without
telling.
Arn, we got to keep an eye on that one.
Very telling. And I think we kind of like we alluded to it. Like, let's see if they really gonna do it. And I think seeing it though tonight really made me feel like, wow, they just did that. You know what I'm saying?
And even down the road, you could say that Lexus King may not be worthy. Have Ricky Starks beat him out, and he gets a spot in. So you have essentially Cody's rendition of like maybe like a Horseman or a Legacy, whatever you want to call it.
And if Randy is willing, maybe he won't fit. Maybe like I feel like he won't.
I think Cody might hit him with well, if like Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars. Well, if you won't join me, then you're my enemy.
Mm.
And then again, that'll be a very beautiful story to watch unfold.
Because I think it's cool that now, like I had mentioned this, I don't know if you remember, that I was tired of seeing Cody paired up with like random alliances. Like why is y'all going away from like he know these people? He know like I don't see him much with Jade. I said, but like okay, Sean Spears is back. You know what I'm saying? This is before Ethan got back too. I was like mentioning Sean Spears, like they got Sean Spears there, they got Jade there. So to finally get that into action tonight, and again, like I felt like I don't know if I'm reading too between the lines, but him just saying you guys are good here now. To me was like the
You're in a good place.
yeah, you're in a good place here. Like I felt like that was like a read between the lines kind of statement, and then he just walked off.
Well, again, words could have been said. They could have went their separate ways right after that. Much like that this video that may or may not exist that we need to hunt down from Miss Liv Morgan.
Mm.
What happened when the cameras were away?
I think it was either Snake Eyes that said it. I think we might get that at the pay-per-view for real.
Possibly,
What if there's like yeah they banned but somebody still or like Drew gets his hands on the footage somehow and now I mean they play it right before the match and it's just throwing Damian like he just start thinking now.
There's gonna be some shit. I mean, if we're definitely gonna get a Monday at least.
Mm-hmm.
But Monday's already gonna be a jam-packed show.
Man, I really want to see what happens on SmackDown because I'm interested to see if they announce anybody for Money in the Bank finally on that side.
Yeah, so from what I've seen, there is 5 matches in the card. I mean, like I said they could add a rare 6 match to the card, which again I wouldn't be mad at. But again, we'll see.
Facts, chat. Yo, I need y'all to get active with us, chat, man. Whatever y'all see out there, let us know what y'all talking about, man. Come talk with us. Know what I mean? Chop it up right in the comments, hit them likes, subscribe, tap in with my boy Razor on Twitter, tap in with my guy Snake Eyes on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? The conversation, I told y'all this yesterday, conversation don't stop. You know what I'm saying? Unwelcome to thoughts off the hip. Razor, before we get out of here, you want to say something?
Y'all be smooth out there. Don't do dumb shit.
Yes, sir. Y'all stay tuned, man. Peace.